Hello, everyone. Welcome to July's installment of 4 for Friday. Today, we're talking the Wild, Wild West. I'm Jason.
And I'm Scott, and this is the Friday Night Rewind.
This is our inaugural installment of 4 for Friday. 4 for Friday is an idea that Scotty had. We've been doing it over on the Facebook page for a while, which is the last Friday of every month. We pick 4 of something. We did like 4 sci-fi movies you probably haven't seen was one of our topics one month. One month we did 4 favorite documentaries. So basically we just pick 4 of our favorite something and we talk about it.
Yep. And in the future, for our viewers out there, in the future, we may have audience participation, audience recommendations. So if you have any ideas, drop us a comment or send us a message. We're always looking at that kind of information. But for today, we are diving into the good old West, which is a subject I love, and I know Jason does too. And so, Jason, why don't you start us off and let us know what's your first film for this 4 for Friday that we're all going to love?
I sort of went with some classics. The first movie that I wanted to talk about is a film called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is actually the third part of a trilogy of spaghetti westerns by a filmmaker named Sergio Leone. I have actually only ever seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It is, yeah, I know. It is the third film. I know Scott's about to die. Everybody's always blown away when I say that because it is preceded by A Fistful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More. They are a trilogy of films, but they loosely follow this man with no name. Clint Eastwood plays the man with no name. He rolls into a different town pretty much in each film and solves some issues, right? That's about it. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a movie that really is just an incredible film because of the performances that it has. You've got Clint Eastwood as the good guy. You have Lee Van Cleef as the bad, and then as the ugly, the incomparable Eli Wallach. I saw this movie when I was in high school, and before I saw this movie, I didn't really give a shit about Westerns. Like, right. I had seen a couple of John Wayne films, like on TV with my dad or whatever. I thought they were kind of lame. Westerns just weren't really a genre that like did much for me. But in this film, just the camera work, the characters, every single shot in this film feels kind of like a painting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the West sort of, it sounds so cheesy to say, but it brought the West to life in like a way that I think that other Westerns just felt really cheesy for me. And there are so many good lines in this film. So I don't want to even give anything away about this movie other than to say that the music is incredible. The cinematography is incredible. Ennio Morricone did the score. Most iconic score. Like, I think even if you've never seen a movie before, you know the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme song. The Ramones used to use it like before as their warm-up music. It's just so iconic.
Anytime you get any type of Mexican standoff, you hear that little like whistle, I mean, it's
called The Ecstasy of Gold.
You can't get away from it. He is such an amazing composer. Love him to death. What I love about Good, Bad, and the Ugly is, I will say this. I think that the Dollars trilogy is the epitome of perfect trilogy, where the first film, Fistful of Dollars, is brilliant, great, and is a remake technically of Yojimbo by Akira Kurosawa, which is awesome. And that has in turn been remade. But what I really love about it is from Fistful of Dollars to For a Few Dollars More, it gets better, right? A Few Dollars More is better than Fistful, and Good, Bad, and the Ugly is better than all of them. So as far as trilogies go, the trajectory is always going up and getting better, which is so hard to do, with any type of trilogy. Look at The Godfather. 2 is better than 1. 3 is a dumpster fire. And, so anyway, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, phenomenal. And if you watch it, something else I would think about as you're watching it is how many people are stealing shots from this film. You'll recognize in so many situations and it's like you'll never find someone that has anything negative to say about it. So I would personally recommend the watch as well. You will definitely not regret it. But I would
So
also
I
tell
think,
people watch the trilogy because it's phenomenal.
and I'm gonna see the rest of them at some point. So
Love it.
my two favorite lines in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly that I use all the time, that I think are like two of the greatest lines ever made, are when you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
Love it.
Yeah, it's just incredible line from Eli Wallach. Um, just delivered during like such a great moment in such a deadpan way. And then I also really like, you see, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend: those with loaded guns and those who dig. You dig. So,
They, and they're like, it's funny because they're kind of like singular lines. Like
yes.
there's context to them, but they're said and there's really like no rebuttal. Like, what are you gonna,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not an arguing point. It's just they say the line, they go, and whatever, they do their thing. But it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Sergio Leone is such a hero of mine. I've loved every bit of his work. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, phenomenal pick. Love it.
Well, why don't we go into your first pick?
All right, I am gonna go with a film that I don't know that a lot of people have seen, but they should. This film came out in 2006. It stars Liam Neeson and Pierce Brosnan, and it's called Seraphim Falls. And it's directed by a guy named David Von Enken, I believe. Sadly, he passed away in 2021, so we're not getting more films from him. The only other film that he did was a film called The Last Son, which I never saw, and I think it was just produced by him. But Seraphim Falls is a really good film. It's somewhat based on The Outlaw Josie Wells, directed by Clint Eastwood. I have a feeling that through this conversation, we're going to talk a lot about Clint Eastwood. But there's a ton of really great actors in this. As I mentioned, Liam Neeson, Pierce Brosnan, Michael Wincott, everyone remembers from The Crow, Xander Berkeley, Angelica Houston makes an appearance. This is a film that takes you on a journey, and that's really what I like about it. Is it's got a real cool start point and finish point, and it really takes you it takes you to different places. And if you watch this, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's mostly like a revenge tale. And the performances are fantastic. I love where it starts, and I think the Colorado Rockies, and it's very reminiscent of like a Jeremiah Johnson type feel, where you've got that cold, things transpire, and then there's sort of the ambiguity between, and this happens a lot in westerns, ambiguity between good guys and bad guys, and who's doing the right thing and the wrong thing, and this kind of stuff. The lines get very blurred. And effectively, it's a story. Liam Neeson's character is seeking revenge against Pierce Brosnan's character, and the journey that it takes them on. There are just really great performances from so many different actors. One of the things that I also love about westerns is you have antagonists, protagonists, but you also have the scenery and the landscape, and that's really like your third major character in almost all of these films. You'll see directors always panning to rolling beautiful landscapes and things like that, and definitely did that in this. So if you're a western fan, this is definitely a movie that if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely check out. It's a really, really fun watch, lots of different elements to it. I would say there's no specific standout scenes, although in the beginning Pierce Brosnan has he gets shot, and he's got to fix himself, and he's digging this bullet out of him, and it feels real. It kind of makes me cringe a little, and it, gives me the creeps a little bit, but it's a really well done scene by him. There's not a lot of scenes with Liam Neeson and Pierce Brosnan, which is somewhat of an unfortunate thing because obviously, seeing them act together is phenomenal. And they do come together at the end. And then that happens, but great movie. I think everyone would enjoy it. It's a real easy watch. It's a real fun one. Didn't do really much of anything at the box office. You know, kind of a low budget for 2006. You know, done on about 18 million, so pretty cost effective. And yeah, it's a great film. Is this something that has come across your radar, Jason? Is this?
It's something that hadn't come across my radar at all. I had never even heard of the movie until you talked about it. And now it's like, I really want to see it. So, job well done.
All right, you'll like it.
I will give this a watch. So, next movie that I wanted to talk about, though, is Once Upon a Time in the West. And I really only wanted to talk about one scene in this entire movie, honestly. I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about, first of all, Charles Bronson, who is like the definition of cool. I remember seeing this movie and I was skeptical about it because it didn't have Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood is like the iconic, cool as can possibly be cowboy. And I was like, how could Charles Bronson be nearly as cool as Clint Eastwood? And he might even be cooler. So this opening scene of this movie, right, is this shot of a train station. And there's almost 10 minutes where like literally nothing happens. There's no opening music during it. You can hear like the windmill groaning in the background, water dripping into a hat. There's a fly buzzing around Jack Elam's face for like what feels like an hour. Like you're just sitting there watching this movie and there's just this fly buzzing and the water dripping, and you can like feel as somebody watching this movie, just the tension building in like every single second. There's just these wide shots of the train station that make it feel like it's in the middle of nowhere. And then it'll transition immediately from like this big wide shot to like an up close macro of someone's eye. And then the train finally arrives after like 5 minutes of just like these shots and these sounds. Yes. And you're waiting for something to happen. Like the train shows up and you're like, cool, somebody's going to get off the train and then something's going to happen. And the train doors open and they close and no one gets off and the train pulls away. And at this point, you're literally like, if something doesn't happen in this movie, I'm going to be like really uncomfortable. Like you're getting uncomfortable. It's like becoming a visceral experience. And then the train pulls away. And on the other side of the tracks is fucking Charlie Bronson.
So it's amazing.
But before you see him, you hear a harmonica playing. So the train pulls away, you start to hear a harmonica, and then there's just Charles Bronson standing there with a harmonica. And that's his character's name, by the way, is Harmonica, much like the man with no name. And he's just standing there like, it's honestly one of the coolest introductions to a character ever.
Another one by Sergio Leone, and Ennio did the composition for that as well. Just such a phenomenal movie. You know, let me ask you this: you've got two in there by Sergio Leone.
I do.
Is there one that's better than the other in your opinion?
Oh man,
I know. I'm sorry to do it.
I'm going to be
you.
honest. I haven't seen either of these films in like a decade. I meant to go ahead and like prepare for this by rewatching all of these movies, but I didn't. So it's hard to say for sure. They're both complete and total masterpieces. I think the one that I've seen more is The Good and the Bad and the Ugly.
Okay.
But if I had to say which one was better, it might be Once Upon a Time in the West, if that's fair.
Okay, so for me, I would say Once Upon the West takes a little bit of a tick mark over Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because of how many filmmakers have done, Once Upon a Time in America. Well, that's Sergio Leone too. Once Upon a Time in America, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. There's a Once Upon a Time for everything, and all of them are paying homage to Once Upon a Time in the West, which I believe was the first Once Upon to come out. So it seems like a lot of different Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean, Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, both are made films to pay homage to Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West by,
Mhm.
reusing that name. I just, it's very interesting to me. I love the film.
Yeah. And that scene, like I was gonna describe what happens next in that scene, but I almost don't want to. No, I'll say I will say that it goes from this incredible quiet tension building over 10 minutes to boom, like a flash of a lightning bolt, basically just resolution with violence. And that
It's
sort of
such a
like
good
sets
film.
up the dichotomy of the film right there. Is like you just have this slow tension, and then the abruptness of
Yeah.
just violence, just boom. These little violent moments that just come and break up the tension. So,
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in the West. Check it out.
Awesome.
Huge recommendation. What's next for you?
All right. For my second film, I would like to talk about a film that came out in 2017. This was directed by Scott Cooper, who has done a lot of really good films. But today I'm talking about his film Hostels. If you remember, for our viewers, Scott Cooper did Crazy Heart, which I thought was just phenomenal. What a great film. Out of the Furnace, Christian Bale, another great film. Black Mass, Johnny Depp, another phenomenal film. Then we have Hostels. And then he did a film called The Pale Blue Eye, which is only on Netflix, which is another really good film with Christian Bale. I think it's an underappreciated film, but one that I really enjoy rewinding every now and again. Hostels is a very interesting film, and I think it was done really well. Christian Bale plays this old sort of um, veteran of let's call it the military, and he is asked to do sort of a last job by bringing sort of an arch nemesis of his back home to die on his reservation. And the arch nemesis is played by Wes Studi, who's been in just a million different great films. What a talented actor. He has really been in absolutely everything. Dancing with Wolves, Austin the Mohican, The New World, Mystery Men, Avatar. I mean, so many different films. Such a talented, wonderful actor. So, like I said, we got Christian Bale, we got Wes Studi, Rosamund Pike is in this as well, and she is really good in this. Jesse Plemons, Adam Beach, Rory Cochrane. I mean, the list goes on and on. A young Timothy Chalamet, Ben
Chalamet.
Foster, Chalamet Ding Dong. Um,
Ben Foster is going to get some more love in this episode as well. Stay
Ben
tuned.
Foster. Ben Foster. I love him. I just absolutely think he went okay. I want everyone to watch Ben Foster. He commits himself 110% to every part that he's doing. There is no
Yeah.
time off in his acting chops whatsoever. And it's across the board in every film that he does. He is a wonderful talent. Jonathan Majors is also in this, and I think it's one of his best parts. He plays kind of a Bass Reeves esque type of a character. Bass Reeves was a African American lawman, did a lot of things in the Old West, had a phenomenally interesting life, and just a really interesting guy. So he's playing sort of an archetype that's like him.
You're making me want to rewatch this one. I know this one I have seen. I went to go see it in the theater, and I remember really liking it. I haven't revisited it since, but you are guaranteeing a rewatch.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I have rewound this film so many times. I will go back and watch people's performances. I mean, I know I skated by, but like Adam Beach gives a wonderful performance as Wes Studi's character's son. Jesse Plemons is in this, and he is perfect in this part. It is such a great movie. At the root of it, it is about two people that are at such opposite ends of their proverbial lives and they have to come together in order to achieve this joint goal that they have of bringing, Wes Studi's character's name is Chief Yellowhawk, bringing him home to die in, where his people were from. And Christian Bale just doesn't want to do this. They run into issues on the way, sort of save Rosamund Pike's character, and a lot of other things transpire. But it's a great story start to finish. I love the way that they ended this film and sort of put a period on the end of it. Christian Bale, as always, is just phenomenal in it. Brings so much to the table and clearly has a really good working relationship with Scott Cooper. I would encourage, if you haven't seen this, I really would encourage you to get out and see this film. It is just, it's a fun watch. It's really, really interesting. There's historical elements that you can dive into if you want to go down that well. But again, just an easy, real good watch. They did everything in this film very well. It's very well written. And when I think that you have well written films, you get great performances from the actors. And
Yeah.
I think that every actor in this film does just a real good job. And that's, to me, that a lot of credit goes to the writers on this film. So kudos to them. Love rewatching this film, love rewinding it, and definitely think it should be on people's lists.
Awesome. Well, it's back on my list for sure. And I just rearranged the last two that I want to talk about, because let's just keep going on the Ben Foster train, if you
Okay.
will.
All right.
So the next movie that I wanted to talk about is a remake of a film called 3:10 to Yuma. And I never saw the original 3:10 to Yuma, but the remake, oh, awesome. The remake is incredible. 2007 is when it came out. It is about, at its core, there is a rancher played by Christian Bale who is escorting a captured outlaw played by Russell Crowe to a train, the 3:10 train to Yuma, and the adventures that they get in along the way. So this one was directed by James Mangold, who went on to do Logan and some other things too. What else did Mangold go on to do?
Well, he started with the what did he start with? The Wolverine, which is the one where he goes to Japan.
Is that before
that samurai
this?
one? That I can't remember when he filmed that.
Okay, so right around this, pretty tightly.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so James Mangold, pretty busy guy, pretty talented director. Did he do did he do that last Indiana Jones movie?
He might have, but if he did, I don't want to talk about it.
I know, let's forgive him for that if he did do it. Somebody made that thing. Anyways, we're talking about 3:10 to Yuma though. So 3:10 to Yuma is another one that is so incredible because of its performances. So you've got Russell Crowe and you've got Christian Bale. Both just really at the top of their game. But what I want to talk about in this movie is, again, Ben Foster. So Ben Foster plays a character named Charlie Prince, who is this unhinged,
evil, pure
evil guy. He was Russell Crowe's right-hand man, and it's his job to get Russell Crowe not on that train, right?
Right. He's trying to save Russell Crowe, save his life, because he's going to meet the hangman and for their criminals. So, yeah.
But he just in this movie with these two powerhouses that are Russell Crowe and Christian Bale, Ben Foster literally steals the movie. He's just super, super chill. You could tell that he saw Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Once Upon a Time in the West. At least once or twice, because he's definitely capturing that calm, cool Charlie Bronson harmonica energy, and he's just so quiet and chill and deadly. And he's just so fun to watch. Honestly, when was the last time that you saw this one?
I think that I've rewound this within the past year and a half. It's a film that I go back to fairly often because his performance is just that good. One thing I read about a long time ago was that what I think of, the saying that I think of when it comes to his character in this film is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Everything that he does in this film feels very calculated. in the way that he draws his weapon. There was an article that I read where the horse that he is riding, they wanted Ben Foster's character to be wearing the same pants or chaps as the color of the horse, so that they could almost seem like they were sort of one, like he was that comfortable with the horse on the horse.
Yeah.
That, that's how they wanted it to be portrayed. Yeah, he is so unnervingly menacing in this film. Some scenes, the scene where they get duped, Russell Crowe's crew gets duped and they go the wrong way for a little bit.
Mhm.
And they light this coach on fire with a guy in it. And man, Ben Foster is just standing there, like staring him down, waiting for the answer. Actually, he's not really staring him down. He's kind of looking at the ground, looking away from the guy. And man, it's a really well directed scene. It's a really well acted scene. Again, I go back to, if you have great performances, you have great writing. So
Yes.
kudos to the writing team on that. Obviously, they're giving the actors, good material to work from. Great film. I love every bit of it. I think Russell Crowe does an absolutely phenomenal job in this film, and it's somewhat of a
He does.
redemption story too.
It is. Yeah, I didn't want to give away the ending, but I will say this is
Don't.
another
Yeah,
one
yeah.
where but where Russell Crowe and Christian Bale are both just complex, likable, charming characters on opposite sides of things. And Ben Foster is the real villain, the
Menace,
one
yeah.
that is the real menace. Yeah, and Ben Foster, like the way that he basically worships
Oh yeah,
Russell Crowe's character, like just
yeah.
absolutely like is just incredibly devoted to him, in just this like sycophantic way. So yeah,
One thing that I
310 to
do like
Yuma, the
about
remake.
yeah, one thing I like about this film that I think it makes it different from some other westerns is the set design, costume design. They're all like perfect. They are so good, and it's also a high action film. So it's one of those that I believe you could throw it into that action category if you wanted to. If you're not a western person, you can kind of dismiss the western aspect of it. It's got great action, great character development. You really understand the
Yeah.
goals of the antagonist, protagonist. They do a really good job of it. So yeah, that's a great pick.
And
I love that
I
one.
think you just hit the nail on the head with something that we were talking about earlier too, as far as if you're not a Western person, this is a good one for you because it's just such a good action film as well. I think all the films that we picked are good films where, like, for people who don't think that they're Western people. The Westerns have this kind of like reputation, I think, amongst people who maybe haven't seen a lot of Westerns, that they're all about a good guy in a white hat that rides into town and kills a bad guy in a black hat and rides off into the sunset. And I think that all of these films that we're talking about subvert that and have more to them than just that stereotypical sort of like 1950s generic Western archetype. The Western was it was the superhero film of its time. Like, I think in the early days of Hollywood, 1950s, everything was Westerns. And all of the films that we're talking about come after like the Western boom. These are all films that were almost like made as a response to that sort of like stereotypical Western explosion. So yeah, if you don't like Westerns or you don't think that you like Westerns, don't be afraid to check out any of these movies that we're talking about, because I think that you will find something to like in all of them. And then it might turn out that you actually do like Westerns. And you'll have a whole new genre of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of films to check out. So here you go. Scotty, what do you have next?
All right, my next one is a film that I really loved. I know you and I have talked about this recently, but this came out in 2021. It's a film I didn't see in the theater. I really wanted to, but I don't think that it was available for me to watch, or I can't remember what the situation was. But
yeah, I don't even know if this one got a theatrical release.
I don't know. It was made for about $1.5 million, which is pretty incredible. It is called Old Henry. And I'm going to talk about this film. I'm going to talk about this reluctantly. And the one flaw, I want to start with the one flaw of this film. The one flaw is that if you're anyone that has read anything about history, I think you'll get the point of this film pretty quickly when you watch it.
Mhm.
And they do this thing at the end where there's like a kind of reveal that I just feel like the reveal happened earlier. So that's okay. That's about as much as I want to mention on that. It's directed by a person named Pozzi Ponzaroli, I believe. He did Old Family, did a film in 2024 called Greedy People. I didn't see that. There's a film that's coming out of his called Motor City, which I'm actually interested to seeing. Old Henry stars Tim Blake Nelson, and I'm not sure that a genre needs Tim Blake Nelson more than Westerns. He just seems like a guy that maybe was born in the wrong century. He just fits into that old way. I know he's done a few, kind of even like Old Brother, not really a Western, but sort of has a little bit of that feel to it. But anyway, stars Tim Blake Nelson. He's an older guy. He's got his own piece of land, and he kind of, I don't want to say his past comes back to haunt him. Events happen in the film that sort of bring out his former persona. And it's a different Western. It's a different film. It stars Trace Adkins, who's actually the country singer. Did a fairly good job in this film, and Stephen Dorff, who has never been my favorite actor, but again, like, he does a really good job in this film. But the highlight here is Tim Blake Nelson. He is just comes off as perfect in this part. And again, without saying too much, it's think of this film as a what if. Okay, this is for the conspiracy folks out there. This will definitely be interesting to you. For the folks that love history, this is probably going to be somewhat interesting to you. It's a what if about things that have happened in the West, that have been touched upon in other films as well. But it's, again, without saying too much, it's a film that I think that you can enjoy. It's a very easy story. At the heart of it, it's a little bit of a story about a father and son, but that's not the part that I focused on. To me, it's more about the Tim Blake Nelson character, and kind of what he has to do to sort of protect his son, sort of who he has to become again to help protect his son. So those are just a couple of things that I loved about the film. Really fun watch. I believe it actually just dropped on Netflix. So if you're a Netflix subscriber, obviously check it out there. And again, let us know if this is a film that you liked, didn't like. Drop us a note, leave us a comment, and let us know what you thought of it. We'd definitely be interested to hearing.
Awesome. And I'm going to say that I have a friend who grew up in like West Texas, where this myth sort of like originated from. And like, without giving things away, but like this guy, like he knew people whose grandparents knew the person that was, and like maybe, like just maybe that's all I'll say.
I don't think so. But maybe.
Yeah, same.
But I don't think so.
But maybe.
But maybe. But maybe.
Right. But also,
no, it can't be.
Think so.
But maybe.
But it could have been. All
right. So your last film. What do you got, brother?
Yeah, I don't think that there's a better last film to talk about than Unforgiven, because Unforgiven is kind of like the final word on Westerns in a lot of ways. So I will say that in 1992, when this movie came out, my aunt went to go see this movie and hated it. And her review of it was, if you want to see a movie about cowboys who cry, I guess you'd like it. And so, like, her negative review, though, is also why this film went on to win 4 Academy Awards. So it won Best Picture, it won Best Director, Clint Eastwood, Best Supporting Actor, Gene Hackman. I know. And Best Film Editing. And that's the end of Scott Rothenberg. I think we just murdered him right here on this show. Yeah. I mean, wow. Is there a take that's aged worse than that?
I need her number. I need
So
to give her a call. I need to talk about what I don't know what she obviously went into the wrong theater. Like she watched the wrong picture.
Clint Eastwood does cry in the movie. I think that she just watched it the wrong way.
Well, they weren't making Gunsmoke or like
Exactly right. So Clint Eastwood spent like decades making movies about like how killing was cool and like the cool cowboy that like just was able to like walk into town and shoot everyone dead and just walk out of town and be totally fine with it. And this movie like completely tears all of that apart and like completely like deconstructs
yeah,
the Western. This is a movie
yeah,
about like a broken, haunted, old gunslinger who just wants to be left alone and is pulled one last time into something begrudgingly against his will. Um, and it is just so good because of that. Because he's not, and I think that what my aunt experienced there is that like yeah, she was expecting like to see the cool collected Clint Eastwood who like relished in what he was doing, but this really examines like that this lifetime of killing takes its toll.
yeah.
And like yeah, there's a reason that this movie won 4 Academy Awards. I wasn't originally going to talk about it last. I was going to talk about 3:10 to Yuma last, and I was going to talk
Okay.
about this third. But I really do think that it works best to talk about last, just because of all those things. Because like it really feels like it takes the typical Western mythology and just like turns it upside down.
Yeah, completely.
What are some of the things that you loved about this movie?
Everything. I truly don't know how many times I've seen this film. I have probably seen this film, and I'm reluctant to say this, but probably more than 25 times.
Nice.
And I'm not sure if I'm not sure. I mean, that's an issue. You know what I mean? Like, but every time I watch it, I get something new out of it. I will say, I mean, Morgan Freeman is just phenomenal. He is so good in this part. He is so good. This is a pre Prince of Thieves Morgan Freeman. He just brings everything to the table. And Gene Hackman. I mean, Gene Hackman playing it just doesn't get better. These are actors that grew up, watching Westerns. That would have been their go-to, and they, man, when you think about everything that you just said, deconstructing the Western and sort of putting it back together in the sense that, that these are not always as they seem to be. These people are not the rugged, tough, machismo that are unaffected by all the deeds that they've done in their lives, and that they are affected by it. That Morgan Freeman, has anxiety because he has, a wife and a life, and he's moved on from all the things that they've done in their past. And then they've got this young kid that, comes in and wants to, make a name for himself and be that guy in the Old West. And he's sort of that romantic like look back on what it was, and realizing through their exploits and through their adventure that maybe that's not for him. He doesn't want to grow up and be like them. And it's, saying that in a Western is truly bold. Okay. That had not really been done before. And it takes a guy like Clint Eastwood, who knows a Western probably better than anyone on this planet, to make a film like this. And I would imagine that when people read it, they were like, we're doing what? We're making a Western about what? A guy that has remorse in the West? What are we doing?
Right.
But
well, that the interchange of that line when when the Schofield kid shoots the guy for the first time,
Right.
and he says like, he ain't never gonna breathe again, all on account of me pulling a trigger.
Right.
And that's when Eastwood delivers that famous line. It's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away all he's got and all he's ever gonna have. Such a deep, like, and it makes people feel like, I don't know, because you've watched all these westerns and you dream about like being an outlaw.
Oh yeah.
And you dream about what it would be like to just shoot a guy, and that's what all these the typical westerns tend to have sort of glamorized. That they tend to have really glamorized that violence, and just in this one moment, it like really paints what that violence actually is and what it does, and creates like a level of guilt that the viewer then has, like for feeling like that kid.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, to me, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a perfect film. It's a no notes film. Eastwood, even at that time, he still has, you can see that glimmer in his eye, that little, like in the Dollars trilogy, that squint that comes out when he's looking out and assessing, and it's just so good. And a little surprising, sometimes I have a tough time when actors direct themselves, but for whatever reason, he does it really well. Probably better than anyone out there.
Well, Mel Gibson has entered the chat, but Mel and Clint,
Mel and Clint,
both good at it.
In some ways, you might be able to say Ben Affleck too.
Sure.
Because of some of the stuff that he's done, I think that some of the things that he's directed himself, he's been really good in those types of parts, but also there are some misses. So, I would say Mel and Clint really understand how to direct themselves.
Yes.
Great film. Really loved it. Love every time I watch it. It's an easy one.
Go ahead and close us out.
All right. For my last one, I have one of my all-time favorite films. This film came out in 2007. It's directed by Andrew Dominic, and it is The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford.
Not the shortest title of any film.
No, but not the
one
longest.
That has been on, and it's one that's been on my list for freaking ever, like forever. I don't know why I haven't seen some. I don't know why I haven't seen these movies. But this one especially has been on my list of movies to see forever. So go ahead and
this is a top 10
to drop everything and watch this movie right now.
All right, here we go. Here's my elevator pitch. This is, I will say that this is, to me, it's a perfect film. It's a top 10 film for me. I've rewound it a litany of times. I can't even remember how many times. And I go back and I'll watch, I'll skip parts, I'll skip around, I'll watch people's performances. I think that Brad Pitt absolutely should have won every award there ever was for the way he portrayed Jesse James. He's remarkable in this. But Casey Affleck is beyond words in this. Wow. And I don't have a way to describe him in this. He is playing the character of Robert Ford, Bob, who eventually goes on to, he's the one that pulls the trigger that kills Jesse James.
The coward.
He's the coward. And in this film, I'm not sure that anyone portrays uneasiness, sort of a little bit of anxiety. It really comes out in his performance. And again, I'll say it, the writing in this film is phenomenal. And when you have great writing, you get great acting performances. And, this is just... It's the best performance that Casey Affleck, I think, has ever done. Better than Manchester by the Sea, which is unreal. Wow. But this is him. I think this is peak performance. The way that he makes the viewer so uncomfortable, it makes your skin crawl, to me is just, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But not only that, you got Brad Pitt, you got Casey Affleck, like I mentioned, you got Sam Rockwell playing Charlie Ford, you got Sam Shepard playing Frank James, you got Mary Louise Parker playing Zelda James, You've got Jeremy Renner in this playing Wood Height. You've got Zoe Deschanel. You've got Michael Parks, who is wildly entertaining actor. So sad that we lost him. He's made famous by like every Quentin Tarantino film.
Who is that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Michael Parks.
He's gone?
Yeah, he died. When did he die? He passed away in 2017.
Oh, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that mean that Tusk was his last film? It might.
Oh, it might have been. I don't know the answers to that. It might have been. But for me, he'll always be Esteban in Kill Bill 2.
Yes.
Yeah. The pussy die. I don't like how Quentin convinced him to do that. I'll never know. But he, it's the way he delivers that line is perfect. James Carville is also in this, the political strategist. There are just so many great people in this. It's a great story. I'm skipping over a bunch of people who I absolutely love. Garrett Dillahunt plays Ed Miller. He is just a wonderful actor. He was in Looper and a bunch of other things. Ted Levine, he's in this. Obviously, he's famous from a bunch of roles, but Silence of the Lambs is one of his bigger parts. The whole "I'd fuck me," like weirdo shit, but like he does it really well. But Andrew Dominik directs this. I don't know how any other person could have directed this film. It's such a good film. It's based on a book by a person named Ron Hansen. I've never read the book, but obviously screenwritten by Andrew Dominik as well. Andrew Dominik, a little anecdotal story, but he directed another film called Blonde. He's directed a couple of films. He doesn't have a large catalog, but I'll take you through that right now. He's done Chopper with Eric Bana, which is great. I really recommend Chopper. It's a really great film. Then he did Assassination of Jesse James. Then he did Killing Them Softly, which I really love, with Brad Pitt again and a bunch of other actors that are in that, including who was in that passed away recently. Ray Liotta, and Sam Shepard's in that as well. That's a phenomenal film. And then this film Blonde that he did, which is based on Marilyn Monroe. We actually went to high school with a girl whose daughter stars as the young Marilyn Monroe and did an excellent job. Yeah, did an absolutely phenomenal job, and kudos to her. I hope that she goes on to do all kinds of brilliant stuff out there.
That is very cool. What is the young actress's name, if you feel comfortable sharing?
Lily Fisher. Obviously, she wasn't, our friend that we grew up with wasn't Fisher when she grew up, but Lily Fisher plays Norma Jean as a young girl, and she does just an absolutely phenomenal job. Really kudos to her. Great performance. I think really captured a lot of those early year essence of Norma Jean, and sort of that tragic early life. But anyway, Assassination, great film. Really does the subject matter of Jesse James justice. They got a lot of things right. It's a fun watch. It's an interesting watch. It's very historically accurate. Brad Pitt just does a really, really, really good job. And everyone in it is really phenomenal. You need to watch it right away, my man. And everyone out there needs to watch this if they haven't seen this. And you're gonna absolutely love it. Again, tell us what you think. But that's it for the 4 for 4. It's a little bit of a longer episode for us. But again,
4 for Friday.
4 for Friday. Our goal with these 4 for Fridays is just to give you a handful of stuff. Really, not a lot of notes being done by us. Just talking about films that we've loved.
On my end.
On my end too. I don't, I'm just, hey, look, I'm just here to watch films, Nice. And so we hope you enjoy them. We hope you go out and watch some of these films. Please let us know what your thoughts are. And Jason, where can they catch us and our podcasts and all our social media?
Yeah, you can find us on YouTube at Friday Night Rewind Pod. That's where you can also find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at Friday Night Rewind. We are available on Spotify, Apple Music. Not sorry,
Everywhere
we
you
are
can find
available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, anywhere that you can find podcasts, we are there. So please check us out, subscribe, like, leave a review. It all helps other filmmakers, other film lovers, and filmmakers find us. So that's the way that you can support us. If you enjoy what you're hearing, what you're seeing, please just keep letting us know. And if you don't, let us know how we can change. Let us know what you'd like to see. And other than that, we will see you next time with what are we going to talk about?
We'll pick a film next time.